Being in your 20s is really weird. It's the first phase in your life where you're not a teenager anymore, but yet at the same time, you just don't really feel like you've fully grown up yet either. It is 100% the most confusing part of adult life so far, at least for me, because I'm only 26 still, but still, I'm still learning a lot of things. It's kind of like a sink or swim situation too, in a way. Like when you're younger, if you've had a habit of playing video games, not doing a lot of shit done, you have to almost undo a lot of those bad habits in your 20s because I feel like if you don't undo a lot of them in your 20s, that it's gonna really set you back later in life already. It's just really hard to understand at first until you get there. It's not really like the easiest thing to do either. I also remember the society pressure of being like a teenager and having to get all my shit together because a lot of stuff in school, man, school is really weird. Like school, at least the ones I went to, have really pressured people to find that one job that you have to stick to no matter what, or else in their eyes you're considered a failure. Or if you didn't go to college, you also are considered a failure. Like it's fucking crazy. Think looking back, like damn, school really did scare a lot of teenagers and put them on a lot of stress. When I first turned 21, I was expecting some magical transformation. Like it's kind of similar how you were expecting when you were 18, but the only difference is you could just buy a beer. So like in your mind, you still feel like a teen a lot still, but physically you're still an adult, but at the same time, you have a lot more responsibilities. It's kind of a crazy in between. It's definitely like a transition phase, at least in your early 20s. When I first turned 23, like I still felt like a kid trapped inside of a 23-year-old's body. Like it's hard to explain. Like I still had a lot of hobbies the same as I did in high school, but I also never had a family or am still single, so I was still having fun with friends, but it's kind of crazy that a lot of people fucking get hit this age and some people either act extremely young at heart or they act extremely like serious and they think they know everything and they act like they're super miserable adults and shit. I guess it goes on a long way with perception. It's also your first taste of like reality too with certain things. Like you start to realize how the world works a little bit, how cruel it can be at times. You also start to realize like how a lot of people just don't really fucking care to get their shit together. And I don't mean like living wise. Like there's a lot of people who emotionally have the maturity of a 10-year-old. And they're usually a lot older than me too sometimes. And some of them, of course, are my age. But just a lot of people just don't seem to care when it comes to that too. And bro, don't even get me started on roommates, bro. Like the first taste of roommates in your 20s, like if you have to move out and live with people, dude, just to save money, like I'm sorry, bro. I've had a lot of bad like roommates, but I will make another video about that sometime because I did make a story time video about one of them that was absolutely bizarre, but there's like a lot of other roommate stories I have for you. While a lot of things did not change in my 20s in terms of like hobbies, there was a few things I did improve on a lot since like I was a teenager and I'm really grateful for it. Like I didn't know how to talk at all. I didn't know how to do commentary very well. I didn't even know how to talk to basic people and of course, let alone talk to people I had a crush on or girls, man. It was definitely hard. A lot of it was my fault for not developing my social skills because I was just so hooked on video games and just wanted to stay inside all the time that I didn't really care at the time to kind of develop those things. And so, like, I just kind of just ignored it for a long time. But when I worked at that grocery store and I put in some effort to talk to like every customer and stuff and actually put in pride and develop my social skills, it really changed a lot for me after I hit 20 because now, one, I can't shut up, and two, a lot of people think I've always been this super overly confident guy, but I've always just recently got confident only like 6 years ago. And honestly, confidence really does make a huge difference. Another thing I improved on gratefully was I wasn't really raised with a lot of responsibility very well. Like my parents even admitted to me that I didn't really do a lot of chores and stuff, what led me to be very lazy at the time, have very bad work ethic and stuff. And I had to teach myself how to change those things by just working a lot more hours, get my body used to it. And of course, I did enjoy my part-time job, but I used to remember looking back thinking a 13-hour shift was like eternally forever, and I kind of sounded spoiled looking back when I got upset at having to work 13 hours one time. But now, like, a 12-hour shift, man, like, it's nothing to me now. I'm just fucking used to it, and you just gotta develop a lot of patience, too. Speaking of patience, I was extremely impatient as a kid. Like I used to have a very big short fuse to the point where I would like almost have outbursts for the smallest shit, dude. I used to be kind of not very mentally strong in that department. It was definitely a lot of experience and a lot of learning to kind of overcome that. But nowadays, I'm almost too damn patient at times for certain things. It definitely has led to me kind of putting up with a lot of bullshit at times, but I mean, I'd rather just be patient and just be able to get through most of the day with a level headed mindset than some fucking, like, just crying over everything. I think it's good to take advantage of your 20s in a way where you could actually learn new things too. Like, learn a new language, ride a bike or something. I don't know, just do something fun. Like, for me, I wasn't really into the partying scene, but I have been to a couple parties. Like, they were fun, like, they are fun, but after a while, once you've been to a couple, they're all kind of the same. And I didn't want to make that my whole lifestyle in my 20s, because I feel like there's other things you could improve on in your 20s that could actually affect you even greater in your 30s and beyond. When you're in your 20s, man, you feel like you're not going to make any mistake. But for me, I've made a lot of mistakes. And not just with people, just a lot of mistakes in general with my life, like financial mistakes. I've also made mistakes trusting the wrong people. It's just a lot of life you got to live in your 20s to kind of understand what you really want. Being in your 20s, a lot of you will be living very uncomfortably in many ways. Like when I was first 20, dude, like the stress of being broke was absolutely scary. And I used to think that if I didn't have a job of any kind or if I just didn't work a crazy amount of hours, I'll go broke. But actually, it's really not that bad, but I have been broke a few times to the point where I was paycheck to paycheck. And I don't prefer the stress of paycheck to paycheck, but I'm just not scared of it now anymore because I have all the tools and assets to catch up. And usually, most of the time, it is my fault. And that's a lot of things many people won't admit when it comes to their downfalls and their faults. So shit is a lot of people won't say it's my fault because most of the time, it most likely is. Accountability is actually a big deal to learn in your 20s because if you don't learn accountability in your 20s, dude, it will affect you for the rest of your life. If you can't hold yourself accountable for your own faults, what makes you think you can't be accountable for something that could cause harm to others, especially the ones you love? But I will say it is absolutely okay to have fun in your 20s. Despite all the things I've said, dude, it's not all that bad in other ways too. Like for me, I still be doing goofy shit, dude. Like my whole personality is pretty goofy, and I still be like sometimes doing some dumbass shit with my friends. Like a few years ago, I went down a sled without health insurance, fucking going down backwards with fucking ice rocks like at the bottom. Did it hurt? Yeah, but it definitely felt like I was living life still. And it's just all about having fun when you can before you can't anymore. And what I mean by you can't, I mean like physically you can't, not mentally. If you also feel lost right now, man, just know that it's okay. You're just trying to figure your life out in general, and it's not going to be just in your 20s. It's probably going to be in the rest of your life in other phases. It's kind of hard to like understand at first, but once you kind of grasp the concept of it happening, you kind of know how to manage it better. It's a weird thing. It's like wisdom you develop over time. And the rest of y'all, if you're all in your 20s, do what you want to do with your life and don't let anyone else define how you live it. If you can find ways to pay the bills and still have fun and live a nice, comfortable, free life, go for it, man. Because I had parents that were super uptight to the point where they felt like having fun is just not a thing anymore, but for only for children. And that's definitely not true. Once you graduate high school, man, everyone lives in their own paths and they go their separate ways. So it's okay if your path takes a little longer. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys are enjoying my gameplay of Modern Warfare 2. And I gotta admit, man, I am not very good at this game, but fuck, it's fun. I don't think I've ever gotten a nuke, but yes, I couldn't find a lobby, so I'm playing with bots, and I was using the RPD, which is like one of the most hated guns. And I was also learning mouse and keyboard because it's something new I'm trying to learn. Because I do feel like the game is definitely meant for mouse and keyboard more than the controller. Because when you use your whole hand to aim, it makes it a little bit easier, but fuck, it's still a process to learn. Like when I use my PS4 controller to play this version, the sensitivity is just way too high, and I even tried lowering it. It's just definitely meant more for the mouse, and it's fine. So for now on, I might try just my mouse and keyboard, but I think I'm going to switch off and on it. Anyways, enjoy y'all's 20s if you're still in your 20s, and I'll see you guys in the next one.